Hi. So today we're going to be showing you one of our absolute favorite parts of our farm property, which is the house. We'll be taking you along with us as we do improvements and renovations. So we thought today would be a bit of an introductory tour and also to let you know some of the background we know about the house so far. So to start, I'll show you the exterior of the house, which you can see currently has white columns and white trim around the doors and windows. And in the front yard, you can see we have some stumps, a wood pile, and I think we have about 4 or 5 stumps in the front yard. So I'll insert a picture here where you can see a comparison of what the house looked like when we first bought it versus now. And you'll see that the trim and the columns were kind of a salmon, fleshy pink color. So we painted the front of the house, and only the front of the house for now, because Joe and I actually got married on our front porch, and so we want it to look nice. But you'll see around back it is still that pink fleshy color, but that will change long term. So as far as background of the house, we don't know much. What we do know is that the house was originally built in 1901 and was a hunting lodge. And then ever since then, residents have lived in it off and on. The most recent residents lived in it in the 80s, and that is when there was an addition put on the back of the house, which Joe will show you. And that is pretty much it. That is all we know so far. We're really curious about the history and want to know more, but we're really struggling to find information about the house and the property in general. So we do know someone who has given us a few contacts that we're going to try, but feel free to leave a comment letting us know if you know a way to find out information about old properties, old houses, etc. And we will definitely give it a try because we would love to know more about the history. I'll also insert a picture here where you can see the front yard and all of the beautiful trees that we used to have that are now stumps, unfortunately. We had to cut them down either because they were already dying or because this big oak tree that was here had really large branches that were extending over the roof of the house. So we didn't want to have any danger of them falling onto the house or anything. So unfortunately those trees had to come down, but as you can see from the pictures, it was very beautiful. The yard is still beautiful, but wanted to show you what it looked like beforehand. All right. So coming up to the house, I'll show you what our front porch looks like. You can see it extends along both sides of the house. And I love big porches, and I cannot lie. When we first came to this property, I think the porch was the first thing that stood out to me. I love a big porch. I love porch sitting. As you can see, we have 2 rocking chairs here. Joe actually does not like to rock, but I do. So we have 2 rocking chairs. We have spent many nights out here porch sitting. It's just beautiful and peaceful. And so you can see the view from our porch, our beautiful skid steer, but you can see there's a view of our driveway as well as fields on both sides of the driveway. So right now it's currently winter, so we will insert pictures here where you can see what the property looks like in spring and summer when everything is green and even more beautiful. So this is the porch, but let's go inside, shall we? So here are our front doors with Tango eagerly waiting. All right, so coming in, you can immediately see this very large living room with 2 fireplaces or chimneys on either side of the room, very hunting lodge-esque. So I'll give you a little tour of what each room looks like. So as we go through the house, I will show you both, of course, what it looks like now, but also some pictures of what it looked like when we originally bought it. We've made some pretty minor improvements, but I think it still made a difference. So I'll make sure to show you. So like I said, this is our living room. One chimney is more of a just traditional fireplace. with whiskey sitting next to it, being a good boy. And then the other chimney has a wood stove in the fireplace, and we use that to heat the house, which has been really efficient. We actually, when we first stayed here, we used to heat the house with just the fireplace. Not very efficient. We burned through firewood so fast. So when we finally decided to start using the wood stove, it was a humongous improvement. Another fun fact I wanted to let you know is, I'll insert a picture so you can kind of see right here, we used to have a big tent. I think it's about like a 9 or 10 person tent. So when we first bought the house and started staying here, you know, the house, as you'll see in the back, part of it is open to the elements. So we wanted to kind of protect ourselves, so we stayed in a tent, and it took up almost the whole front part of this living room. So it was really large. The summers were brutally hot, and I was terrified. I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, so there were many sleepless nights for me, and unfortunately for Joe, because I would project my fright onto him. But we're in a better spot now, no longer in a tent, but wanted to share that little tidbit. Okay, so before I go into each room, you can see we have our refrigerator, we have a gas range and oven, and we have a couch set and a couple of desks for Joe and I to work. You can see in the corner here that we do have moving blankets up, and that is just because, again, we're heating the house using the wood stove, so we want to make sure that the heat is in the rooms that we use. So we want it to be concentrated in the living area, and then we keep the bedroom doors open so that way the heat can move into the bedrooms as well. So we keep moving blankets up because it just keeps the heat in here. And also, as you'll see when I go into the kitchen is still a little bit exposed to the elements. So again, it's just an extra form of protection. So, all right, let's go room by room. So I also wanted to show you a bit of a close-up of the fireplace and the stonework here. It's all original, definitely needs some TLC, just like everything else. But it's all original stone, it's beautiful, goes up the entire wall, and is very wide. So I just want to give you a bit of an up-close look at that stonework. And we will actually start over in this bedroom. So there are 2 total bedrooms currently. So this is one of them. We keep plastic over the beds when we are not using them. So right now there's no one staying in this bedroom, so we just keep it covered up with plastic. But you can see all the logs throughout the entire house, which is all original from 1901. So it's very historic. You can see the floor looks like it looks like cardboard. It's thicker than that. There was carpet in these rooms, and as soon as we bought the property, we ripped out the carpet. But again, you'll see in the picture here what it looked like at first. So coming into the bathroom, there's one bathroom. Hello. There's a mirror and sink. We have some toiletries. And then over here, you can see another mirror with our toilet and bathtub. It is a functioning toilet. We don't have running water currently, so we still use the toilet, but we bring in water from town and just use that to flush the toilet or any other water needs we have. So we keep a steady supply. But other than that, it's a functioning bathroom, so we use that. Now the bathroom has 2 doorways, so connecting the bedroom we were just in into this bedroom. So very similar to the other one, all original logs. There's some curtain type decorations that I think were not from 1901. And then there is a closet here. So it's a decent sized bedroom, just has to, be reorganized. And again, we will redo the flooring at some point.
Okay, well, Liz takes you around and shows you the inside, which is probably the better part of the deal here. I'm going to give you a tour around the outside and show you really where all the issues are and kind of describe maybe what happened around here. So the house was remodeled or added onto in the 80s, which I think Liz is going to cover, but they put this T111 siding over the top of it and painted it this nasty flesh color. Not sure where they found that paint or why they chose that color, but it's pretty gross and not appealing for us, but that's what it is right now. So that's what we got. Okay, you'll have to excuse the mess and the generator noise. You know, we're not connected to the grid, so we do run off a generator. But this room here is the most damaged, and Liz is gonna talk about that a little bit. She won't be able to show you from the inside because it's all blocked off, but we'll come around and show you from the outside. But this section here, from this post back, is the addition that was put on in the 80s, or actually 1980, when the last residents moved in. We believe they moved out around 2000, so the house was abandoned for over 20 years. And that's really, you know, because it was abandoned, no one lived here and no one kept an eye on it, that's really where things went wrong. It was pretty well sealed up, but I mean, you can already see there's some issues here, but wait till we get around the back. Okay, I wanted to get away from the generator so you'd be able to hear me. But the back of the house, the part built in 1980, is completely destroyed. It's still standing, although on the one end barely, and it's something that we really need to address soon. But it's completely destroyed. So you'll notice we have these two beautiful pecan trees here in the backyard. They're over 100 years old. They have some life left in them, but they are actually nearing the end of their life. You can kind of tell by the way they look, and they do drop some branches, so you know they may have 20-40 years left in them, but they are really old. And then you'll notice there's a big open space and another huge pecan tree over here, but nothing in between. But there's a big hole right here. So pretty certain that there used to be another pecan tree here. What we were told was that a tree tipped over and landed on the house. No one noticed for a really long time. It had poked holes in the roof, and by the time they figured out what had happened, they got an estimate to fix it. No one lived in it, and they're like, we just don't care. We use this for cattle, and we're not gonna get it fixed. The tree's gone, it's not here. But if you know anything about North Carolina, hardwood trees like this tip over all the time because we get, you know, the combination of two things that's really bad for hardwood trees, which is wind and lots of rain. And they don't have very deep roots, so when the wind blows after it's rained 3 inches, 4 inches over the course of multiple days, they tend to tip over. It happens all the time here. So let me back up and I will give you the scary tour of the back of the house. So here we go. This is the back of the house, and you can see, I need to get up there and fix it, but we have tarps on the roof, and I mean, it's all rotted out and falling apart. That window right there, completely about to fall out of the house. This is actually, this room, which Liz I'm sure will show you, is kind of like a library study room and is in fairly decent shape. The floor is solid except for one spot here in the corner, but I used to call it the Jumanji room because it had vines growing across the ceiling. In summer there would just be, the whole room would be vines. The deck completely trashed. It needs to go. I don't actually think we'll ever put that deck back up. It actually just needs to come down along with the cinder block skirting there. All needs to come down. But you can see, I mean, it's just really a disaster. It's all rotted out. There's some pretty big holes in the ceiling or roof, whatever you want to call it. There's really, and it's just all rotted. And unfortunately, this isn't like a repair situation. We're gonna have to tear this off completely and have it rebuilt. And this end, which will show you this room, is really barely holding on. The room runs from the corner to about, say about the middle of this pump house here, maybe a little bit past that, and then there's the bathroom. The floor is completely gone. all the floor joists have caved in and they're just gone. This back wall, everything is rotted out in this back wall. The only thing that's really holding it together at the moment is the T111 siding. Obviously the gutters fell off, and I mean, it's a real mess. So it's kind of interesting that, I mean, a tree fell and it poked holes in it, but the part of the house that is really didn't hold up was built in 1980. The main structure of the house, the log cabin, built in 1901, so 123 years old at this point. Pretty solid. It has very few issues. Needs a new roof. The whole roof needs to be replaced. But that's what we have. So not a beautiful thing. All of it really needs to go. The well is in here in this pump house. It's not a very deep well. We don't have it hooked up. We don't have running water right now. So one of our plans this year is to get a new pump put in the well, get the well cleaned out, and get that up and running. All the plumbing is still all hooked up. It's all PEX plumbing, so I expect that it probably won't leak, but obviously we'll have to pressure test everything, sanitize it all, run, bleach through everything, including the well, shock the well with bleach and all the pipes in the house to get them all sanitized. But then at least we'd have running water. So there's one more thing back here that I'm gonna briefly talk about, but we're gonna have a whole nother video on that one, and that's the upstairs. So if you see up there, there's a door, and that door right now I think you would say leads to the attic. But at one point in time, before the addition was on, I'm almost certain that there was a set of stairs on the outside that led up to that door, and it was used as living space. There are hardwood floors that run the whole length of the upstairs. Right now it's all covered with raccoon poop and matted down fiberglass insulation. But there's distinct rooms up there, so I'm pretty certain that actually had living space. But that is one of the creepiest places in the world, and my wife is afraid of just about everything. So we'll do a separate video of us going up there and giving you a tour of the upstairs, which makes her skin crawl. She doesn't like being up there, but I think it's really funny. So that's really it on the outside. We have issues with the skirting. So you can see where they built the skirting out of just field stones, whatever they pulled out of the dirt, stacked it up, mortared it together. Didn't do a very good job, and over time it's all kind of, with the freezing and thawing, it just fell over, is about to fall over. All the skirting needs to be pulled out. That is not really part of the original foundation. These brick piers are part of the original foundation, and we had the house structurally checked before we bought it, and everything is perfectly sound. So from a structural perspective, the house is in great shape. But you can see there's weeds literally growing all over the outside. I did come through last summer and pull them all down, but they grow really quickly. And as an example of what happens with, this is an oak tree, with hardwood trees in North Carolina, you can see here was a tree that was in the side yard. I don't think this is the one that fell in the house. I think there was a pecan tree, a third pecan tree in the back of the house that fell over. But you can see they rip right out of the ground by the root ball. We've been cutting it up and getting it out of here, although it's extremely heavy. But it rains, shallow root ball, and this clay soil, it just turns into like axle grease. The wind blows and these things tip right over. And you can see kind of the angle that it tipped over. I don't think that's what hit the house. I really do believe that it was a pecan tree in the back of the house that tipped over. So that's the tour of the outside of the house. I'm sure the tour of the inside of the house is a lot less frightening. Well, maybe not, I don't know. A lot of people don't live the way we live, and it's a work in progress. It's going to take us a long time to get it fixed up, but it's beautiful and we love it. So it's kind of like a passion project.
Okay, so now we're back out into the living area. Whiskey being a good boy. Okay, so now I'll show you this room. So this is the back of the house, which Joe talked about the external portion. So coming into this room. So as he probably mentioned, the back part of the house is a bit rough. A tree fell on this portion of the house. So this part is more exposed to the elements. Like right now I can feel it's much colder in here, and you can see there are vines on the ceiling and like a hole in the ceiling. So this room, it looks like it was some kind of library or sitting room. I love the bay window. We're definitely gonna kind of keep that design and just redo this, but looks like it was some kind of maybe library or sitting area. And then out here, this sliding door goes out to the back onto a deck, which is currently covered in leaves. So this is one portion of the back. So let me close the door. All right, so walking back through, Whiskey is just wanting all kinds of attention. So again, over here, there's another door. I can't even really walk in here, but this is just another rough room in rough shape, but will be redone. This was a bathroom. There's a shower here. So this will be redone, but we keep this closed in the meantime. Okay, so we will come around and I'll show you the next couple of rooms. So coming through here, this is a room we're just kind of using to store some things for now while, you know, we're still in the process of improving the house and creating more space. So in the meantime, we keep some extra items in here, and we also eat in here. So we keep our dog food in here. But so here's another moving blanket, like I said, just to keep the heat concentrated in the living areas and the bedrooms. So we'll go through here to go to the kitchen. Okay. All right. Coming into the kitchen, you can see this looks like it was some kind of dining area, like breakfast nook type of space. You can see on the walls has, again, the original logs. Looks like they were painted though. May not have been in 1901, but when the other residents lived here. We have a pantry here. So you can see just a nice big pantry. And then coming around the corner, you can see the kitchen. Looks like there might have been laundry units here potentially. There is a dishwasher, cabinets, counters, ceiling. This is what it looks like. This ceiling is the same type around kind of the whole house. So it seems this was also part of the original structure. And some more counter space over here. And then a lovely window as you're at the sink. So as you can tell, the kitchen will need to be fully redone, really. And so that's going to be part of the process. We have not gotten to that yet. So we don't really use this space. As you can tell, there's nothing in here. So we don't really use this part of the kitchen. We use our gas range and oven that's out in the giant living area. And then we have food throughout the house, really. So we don't really use this room. Joe and I built this brace because the roof was a bit compromised right here. So this is just kind of holding things up in the meantime until we get everything fully fixed. And then unfortunately, the structure of the house that was built in 1901 is very solid. It's actually, when we had an inspector come out here, it's actually the portion that was built in the 80s, the addition, that was the most compromised and was not in good shape, which is funny. But this is probably the only part of the original structure that you can see is not in good shape, which is why we have this brace up. And we have this plastic here to, again, protect from the elements, keep heat inside, etc. So, and then through this moving blanket, we come back out to the living area. So we will come back out and see the dogs. All right. So that is the interior of the house. Like I said, this is just an introduction. We will be taking you along with us as we do any improvements and renovations so that you can see the progress, especially now that you've seen some pictures of when we originally purchased it. But yeah, so I will go outside actually and show you one more area and we'll go from there. Okay, so we are back outside. Coming around to this side, I wanted to show you, as you probably saw around the other side, the pink fleshy color that the house was painted. So I wanted to show you one more room, and that is right here. Coming through this sliding door. Okay, so this looks like it was some kind of maybe mud room. There's coat hangers here. There's closets over there. So some kind of entrance to the house. On the side, you could drop coats, shoes, etc. And that's pretty much what we're planning to do with it as well, is have it be a bit of a drop zone, so that, you know, when we bring the dogs in, we can wash them if needed, hang coats, etc. So it's part of the house we will be redoing, of course, but just wanted to show you that. So thank you for coming along. All right, so you've seen our house inside and outside, what it looks like right now. Like I said, we'll be taking you along with us as we do renovations and improvements from here. It'll be a multi-year process, so definitely stay tuned. But you'll see, even so far, we've made some decent improvements from when we first bought the property.
Minor.
Especially the mostly the outside. The salmon had to go.
Really cosmetic at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're excited to take you along with us.
Yeah, so stay tuned. And as we always say, life's an adventure.
Let's keep it that way.